Hello, I'm Horceror. I want to find out what makes every single killer tick. There's one big glaring issue with that though. I play the Nemesis, essentially only the Nemesis. I physically cannot get thousands of hours of experience on every single character. So, I'm going to be interviewing people that do have those thousands of hours. One for every single killer. Welcome to Stars of the Fog. Alright, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Stars of the Fog. Today we'll be covering the Hillbilly. So, my honored distinguished guests, who are you? If you want to give us your credentials, what you're known for, etc., what makes you the Billy, that would be cool.
Well, you can just call me Numi, and I have about 9,000 hours in the game. I think I just hit 9k a little bit ago. I like all the fast killers. That includes Billy. He's been my number one main from my very early days of DBD, and I feel like I have enough room to speak on him because I won a lot of games in a row, I guess. Surely that makes me qualified.
Really, yeah. So what got you into Dead by Daylight, and when did you start? Was there a specific moment or a specific video or anything that did it specifically for you? How'd you get into it?
Well, in 2017, I saw a couple of Van Haas gaming videos of probably Delirious as well. I just saw them playing the game and it looked kind of fun. And then some time passes by, I'm at my friend's house, and he's playing it on his PlayStation, and I'm like, I want that game. So I got it for Christmas, and I basically started playing beginning of 2018, and I haven't really taken any major breaks from it, I guess. There have been a couple of months here and there where I wasn't playing very often. Kind of been hooked on it since I got it. No pun intended.
Yeah, I also started in 2017 for maybe 100 hours or something with my friends. We played mostly Survivor, and then we just kind of stopped at some point because how friend groups, they have a game of the month, and that was ours. And then I came back by myself in 2020 after watching an Aughts video on how to stream Dead by Daylight or something. I can't find the video, but yeah, that's how I got here. So what made you decide to fully main Billy? Did you play Survivor first? And if so, about how long before you became a killer main? And now that you've found a main for killer, would you say that you play more killer now or more Survivor? Or is it roughly 50-50?
Well, throughout my time playing this game, I've never had, I don't know about never, but I can't say with certainty that I ever mained Survivor more than 50-50 over killer, if that makes any sense.
It does, yeah.
I've always been a killer player just because of I guess the individualistic aspect of it. I don't have to rely on anybody else for it, and there's just I feel mechanically more that goes into killer. Sure, with Survivor there's obviously mechanics and whatnot, but I guess not in a weird way, but I guess the feeling of control is nice, and just grinding something and getting better at it. It's always been really fun.
There's more to do as killer.
Yeah, and I think the fact that I have the most time on Billy can mostly be attributed to the fact that he was one of the only killers back then. He was the only super fast killer that was super fun to me. I also like Nurse and whatnot, but there's something that's just different about Billy to me. And then, of course, when Wesker came out, I loved him, and Blight before that as well. I just like all the fast ones because of I guess just grinding a mechanic over and over again. Yeah, it feels like people who play this game will have a natural tendency to want to be good at macro or micro, and I very easily fall into the second group of people that are just obsessed with their mechanics, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't really enjoy dealing with the macro of the game. I just want to have fun chases, and then that's why I run the build I run, because it kind of handles the macro for me.
Yeah, not to say I don't like the macro, because I do, but I just naturally gravitate towards just getting better at my skill expression mechanically.
And you just want to cook them in chase.
Yeah, I'm the clip hunter.
Exactly.
Clip farmer. Tending to my crops.
So you kind of already answered the what drew you to them and what was the initial appeal, which you said was the speed, the ability to get better at the micro, etc. But when do you feel you really got Billy? How long did it take, and what was the, oh wow, okay, I'm kind of good? Was there a moment specifically that had that happen for you?
I don't think so. I don't think there was a moment moment as I was playing it, kind of just like I picked him up and very quickly it's just like, yeah, this killer's this is very fun. I prefer this over like Wraith and Trapper and whatnot. Like I like being fast. Very ooga booga explanation, but
I mean, I get it though, because like, you know, I play a killer that doesn't have momentum. So when I play Blight or something, I feel like I'm breaking the sound barrier.
yeah, pretty much.
So how do you feel about your killers' like cosmetic options? Do you think they have enough? Do you think they don't have enough? Or is there a specific option that you personally would really enjoy them to make a skin for if just you had the choice to say that?
I think Billy has like a decent amount of cosmetics, but like I don't know, to me personally, there's not a whole bunch of like great looking ones. Like obviously there's Batman, that's pretty sick. The Slipknot cosmetic is cool, but the problem with that is that like it's very bulky, so there's like not really many other pieces that combine with it well. He just like has a lot of pieces that don't combine well with other stuff, if that makes sense.
You have like really nice looking singles, but not like mix and match.
Yeah. If anything, I would just want like better pants because like I feel like the pants hold him back a little bit. I don't know. It might just be a personal preference thing, but feels like the only really good pants he has are like rabbit pants, camo pants, and then there's just like a bunch of recolors, and then like beach shorts. It's just like it's a bunch of goofy shit, which isn't bad really, but like doesn't feel like there's a whole lot in terms of variety for cosmetics.
So if you had the choice, you'd get some more pants.
Yeah,
all right.
To give him some drip because a lot of his cosmetics are just like very silly, which isn't a bad thing, but cooler looking cosmetics would also be pretty sweet. Like I like Batman, like the direction they're going with that one.
It is really nice too, and there's even a blue one as well.
I can't lie, I'm not a fan of the blue one. It doesn't look very good to me.
Yeah, that's fair, because like the majority of Rift stuff is blue. It's like, okay, here we go again. You've kind of answered this, but if you want to elaborate more on like what you specifically enjoy about them, go for it. But what is the most enjoyable part of your killer? Like a tech, a visual, a sound, anything? Like if your favorite absolute thing about Billy?
I don't know if I can pinpoint it to any specific thing because like I guess obviously my favorite thing would be the way his power works because that's like the main thing I care about in a killer is how they feel to play. Like aesthetically, I think he's super cool from like Survivor perspective. Like his animations and stuff do a lot for me, and I think he looks really cool. His aesthetic is pretty awesome. What else really besides that? I've always been like a person that mostly just cares about how a killer feels to play. I don't really care like.
I mean, that's still an answer. Is you like how he feels.
We got like Michael Myers and Alien. We got like every single license under the sun, and I'm just like, well,
guy with Saw.
My favorite killers are Billy and Blight and I guess Wesker. I didn't even know what Resident Evil was before he came to the game, believe it or not. But I mean, I just liked him because of how he feels to play.
Yeah, I vaguely knew what Resident Evil was. I had never played it. Around 7's release is when I started playing it, but I started with RE2 Remake, of course. I think I started with RE1, and then I was like, well, this is kind of clunky, so then I played RE2, and I was like, okay, I get it now, you know?
I still haven't ever played Resident Evil, and like, I don't really plan to, but
it's a really good series. Cool. I think you can get like a whole thing. I've heard. Like all 9 or so games for like $40 on Humble Bundle. Alright, in a similar vein as that, what is your most disliked thing about Billy? Again, same tech, visual, sound, anything.
My least favorite thing about Billy. I think he feels not very good to play sometimes, depending on the patch or whatever. Like he can feel very like laggy. I've been noticing recently with Billy, like whenever I use my saw sometimes, it might just be like an internet issue or whatever, but like I'll start a chainsaw sprint and then I'll like lag forward and then backward and then like forward again to like lag back into the place where the server's like registering me being. Okay. It's like the most like irritating shit ever.
It's not just a Billy thing, like I even get that as Nemesis. And I just go D. I'm like, oh, I can't even imagine doing it at like 3 times the speed.
Yeah, it's pretty ass. It does not feel good at all.
Yeah, there's just kind of been like a server thing going on for a while. I don't know if you experienced it too, but like last week, I want to say, there was just like every single game was like over 100 ping. Even if your server was normally like 40. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I've seen that on Twitter. I wasn't playing it all last week because I was out of town. Until yesterday.
Like, I would legitimately check everyone's, profile on Steam, and like, we're all from like, Washington, Oregon, California, like the West Coast, and then we're all just put in Europe. So I get the ping thing for sure.
Yeah, it's that, and like it kind of fucks with collision a little bit.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that they made his collision like way more forgiving when they reworked him a little bit, but like collision just can feel like really wonky a lot of the time because of a server issue. I guess it's more of a server issue than anything. Not really a Billy specific issue.
I think
But
Scott said a pretty similar thing about dislikes. He's like, well, I love the character, but just sometimes servers, makes her feel really bad. So it's less of a character thing and just more of a server thing.
It does definitely apply more to like faster killers. Like if you've ever played a game of Blight and they put you on the wrong server or like your internet was tweaking, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but whenever you bump into a wall, like you'll just go back 800 feet and you're like, what the fuck am I playing? Like it feels so weird. All the mechanically intensive killers like that are fast, like they kind of eat shit on high ping.
Nemesis just feels really bad on high ping, regardless of the being fast thing, just because it takes like 4 seconds to deploy your tentacle. It's like, oh my god, please.
It's pretty tragic.
Okay, next. What is your favorite map and your least favorite map? And are these the same as your killer's best and worst maps?
I'd say my favorite map is like probably Torment Creek, honestly. I love Coldwind maps. I feel like
in character.
People don't. Yeah, I'm in character, and least favorite map's definitely Larry's. There's not really much of a discussion there. It's just like whole bunch of safe pallets, whole bunch of safe windows. I'm playing man with chainsaw who gets countered by windows. It's miserable most of the time. And I think that pretty much lines up with his best and worst map. I think honestly, some maps like Midwich or like Erie, I feel like a lot of people don't enjoy them particularly that much. Honestly, I don't mind when I see an Erie offering. I'm like, at least I know I'm not playing on Larry's this game or RPD or something. I kind of like Erie as well. Like the tiles aren't like that horrific to play. The collision's pretty bad, but that's my only gripe with that map really. And then the lighting is, it's so bright. That map honestly is not that bad to me.
Alright, so this next question's a little bit more of a fun one rather than like a balance or anything. How frequently do you run into like fans or antis of your killer? Something like Hillbilly's husband or, DC if Hillbilly, etc. Like stuff like that. And like, of course, the other stuff that I can't really say, but
I feel like obviously after his buff, a lot more anti-Billy sentiment going around. It's kind of tragic that it seemed like people only liked him just because he was hard to play and also not very good, so people kind of just respected people who would play him because it's like basically purposefully stubbing your toe for the sake of something. I don't know. I eventually dropped him after a couple of years into Overheat because it was there's some beans, but once he got buffed, people were like, oh, I kind of don't like that he's really good now. I see people around that like Billy a lot, but I guess the general sentiment has kind of changed about him for a decent amount of people over time. Kind of sad, but I guess I get it.
It's just when he got strong, I feel like a lot of flavor of the month and he's just kind of like flocked to him rather than like all the I don't want to say like Billy players with like air quotes or anything, but a lot of people went to him because he was strong, and there's not like that same like respect aspect, I guess.
Yeah, obviously everybody wanted to play him because he was like good again, and I don't like that. Like some OG Billy players or like more veteran players would like be gatekeepy about it because it's like I get that he was like a little overtuned and needed some tweaks and whatnot, but I feel like some veteran players would be gatekeepy about Billy because I saw some people on Twitter, of course, just talking about how they hop on Billy now. I never played Billy a day in my life before, and now I hop on him and I 4K every game. And it's like, yeah, because you are a veteran player and you're playing an S tier killer. I don't know what you expect to happen, really. Like, you're gonna 4K most of the time. Like, I can hop into a Vecna pub right now. I'm gonna 4K every game. Doesn't mean he's a good killer. Just means I'm playing a public match of Vecna. And I'm like, I have a lot of experience on the game. I'm probably gonna win. And I didn't like that people use that as proof that Billy needed to be reverted or some shit.
Asking for Billy to be reverted now is crazy.
I don't think it necessarily reverted, but get rid of overdrive and then just make him hard again. And it's like, okay, I don't know. Sure, man.
Oh, you have said you enjoy his play style, but I would like to ask, how familiar are you with his lore, and are you like a fan of it? You think it, fits his character in game as well?
I'm no pixel bush. I couldn't tell you honestly. All I know about his lore is that parents hated him and like he's ugly as hell. So like you getting locked in the basement your whole life, or like in the shed or some shit. Understandably, he was like, "Yeah, I'm killing you. You're gonna die now." That's about all I know about Billy.
Yeah, that's fair. So you're much more like a playstyle than a lore aficionado type of guy.
Hmm.
So for you personally, I don't mean this just as like a where would you put him on a tier list type of question, but how would you personally rate the killer in terms of strength and why? Just based on your reasoning, experience, stuff like that.
I know you didn't specify tier list, but I still think he's an S tier killer. Like before they nerfed his overdrive generation speed and like his overdrive movement speed and all that stuff. I still thought Nurse was a better killer, but like it was debatable depending on like the circumstances. Like he could obviously be a better killer, but after they did all of that, I still see some people putting him as like the best killer in the game, and I pretty strongly disagree because I think after all that stuff, he's like just below Blight right now. I'd say he's like third best, which is I feel like I don't know, for much of a Billy enjoyer as I am, I can't be like, yeah, he's definitely the best killer in the game right now because you put him on Blood Lodge, he's like he's not 4K in that. He can, but it's like
There's just too much junk around.
there's like 47 safe pallets. If you put Nurse on Blood Lodge, she's probably gonna do significantly better. You know, I don't know about significantly. It is a big map, but I feel like Blight's a significantly more consistent killer. Same with Nurse. Their chases are just like way more consistent. And Billy is he can be a feast or famine killer, and I don't think he's quite as consistent, which for those reasons I don't think he's quite as good as Blight or Nurse. So I think he's still S tier, but bottom of S tier in my opinion.
Gotcha. Okay. So I have played like I got my 100 chainsaw downs and then I dropped him. Like I don't know anything about him. So is there any like notable bug, any notable tech, any less notable techs that you've noticed over your like thousands of hours?
There is a very small one that not a lot of people know about, but if you're chainsawing towards somebody camping a pallet and they're like playing for the stun, you can let go of the saw like in front of the pallet, like out of the stun range, and if they throw it as you do that, you can break the pallet as the saw is coming down. Like if you let go to not eat the stun, but like are just close enough to break the pallet with the linger animation, you can do that. And you can also, if you have low pro and then hold down immediately after with low pro, it'll like catch it and keep it going, but it'll like bug out the animation. And there's an example of that in the post I sent you.
Okay.
Like you don't have to have low pro to do it. Like you can't continue the sprint obviously without low pro, but you can avoid eating a stun and just break pallets by doing that.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. And then obviously like low pro flicking if you have before Billy's rework. Like there's something they did in his rework that nobody really talks about, but when you break a breakable wall or a pallet, it will restart your curve. And before they reworked him, it did not restart your curve at all. You just kept going straight. You could like maybe turn it a tiny bit, but it didn't like actually restart your curve. But when they reworked him, you can restart the curve now. So you don't actually have to be on PC to low pro flick. You can kind of just look at the door at an angle or the pallet at an angle and like keep it going by like flicking or like turning your joystick away from it, if that makes sense. If you're like coming at it straight on, like you have to be on mouse and keyboard or just like mouse to move your mouse fast enough to, I guess, turn around that quickly in one frame.
What are your thoughts on the going next epidemic and about how often do you have people disconnecting or going next on hook against your killer, specifically on Billy?
I think the whole going next thing, it doesn't really seem like, I feel like balance changes could definitely help that, but I feel like it might be a community sentiment thing. I'm not a expert by any means, but it feels like just like a mindset or a mentality that people have playing this game that like, this might sound strange or like a little weird, but I feel like the more you embrace like the things that you find boring about the game per se, like the people that like comp, like they're not like bothered by camping or tunneling necessarily because it's like they've just accepted that as like the most efficient way to play the game and like learn to play around it, and eventually that becomes fun. I feel like instead of being upset by how a killer plays, you should be more open-minded in terms of playing against it. And I also think that some solo queue like communication options should be available, not like voice chat, but like some pinging and stuff, making information more available for solo players would be a lot more helpful, so it didn't feel like helpless a lot of the time. It just feels like a mentality thing to me, and people like going next, and I hope it turns around. Surely eventually it'll have to, but
For sure.
I get people going next against me constantly. It's typically when I'm playing stronger killers, because I'm usually doing better off rip. I notice it for sure. When I'm doing my Blight win streak games, because I'm doing Blight now, it feels like more often than every other game I'll have somebody that DCs or like gives up, which like obviously because I'm doing a win streak, but also it's kind of ridiculous that it's even that often. I don't know. There's things that can be done about it, but to me it just feels like a general community sentiment or mindset,
For sure.
close-mindedness.
I have like a bunch of I don't know if you've seen it, of course, but I'm doing like a series on how to improve Dead by Daylight, and that's one of the things that I bring up is like more communication among solo queue, like having a quick chat, wheel, stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. It sure beats the come here and point emotes.
Yeah.
A lot more effective, I think.
I'm actually very excited for this next question because you are someone that it really, really applies to. Is how do you feel about win streaks on your killer? And do you feel like, compared to other killers, it's easy to win streak on them? And do you personally enjoy win streaking? If so, why? So feel free to like really elaborate on that because I know you have like the highest Billy win streak, right?
Yep, all freaking time. Not that that means much, but obviously doing that for so long, I would have to enjoy it a little bit, right?
I would hope
I
so.
definitely, I definitely found it fun. Like towards the end, it got more like stressful because even before when Billy was, I think all but like 3 games of that win streak were old overdrive Billy. Like with like before all the nerfs, and I definitely didn't lose it because of the nerfs. I kind of just played like abominable dog bowls. Like I played horribly when I lost the game, but it was like 3 games into nerfed Billy, and I'm like, oh, it's over. But win streaking on Billy can be a little stressful because, like as I mentioned earlier, he can be a feast or famine killer, and if you get like some bad circumstances, it'll feel like the game's like you're losing control of it a little bit sometimes. Like obviously not most of the time, but it's like just knowing that like you can get pretty majorly unlucky with Billy, and he's like not quite as consistent as a killer like Blight or Nurse, even though he's really strong. Some games can just get away from you, and that was always like kind of stressful. I think that's the main difference between Billy and like Blight win streak, because I'm at 175 with Blight right now, and he feels significantly more chilled out than Billy does to play because he's just like he's so like methodical and consistent and just same thing every time, and it's a lot less stressful. It's just some part of that question I'm missing because you asked like a lot of things at once.
I said, do you personally enjoy win streaking? And you said, yeah, of course. So I wanted to ask, like, why?
Because playing regular games with no actual like stakes or reward of any sort can get pretty boring after 9,000 hours of doing the same thing over and over again.
Makes sense.
And the win streak gives me a reason to play, but it also gives people a reason to watch, and it gives people a reason to be excited about something, or like it creates discourse, and it's for the clout basically. No.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course. It definitely has helped my channel grow a lot. Like that Billy win streak did a lot for my channel, along with like Tofu rating me a couple of times and whatnot. But I find it fun, and it gives people something to be interested in. That's why I'm getting more back into comp these days as well, just because playing with stakes is fun, and playing to like push yourself to your limit is also very fun, and people like watching that. Not everybody, but
Well, yeah, of course.
Enough people do for it to like improve my statistics and whatever, which is nice. And I appreciate that people enjoy it, because I do. And I know this isn't part of your question, but I know some people asked me like...
No, absolutely. Keep yapping.
No, some people like asking me, how do you feel about win streaks as a whole and how they affect general gameplay? My honest answer is I don't think they changed anything, because even before people were doing win streaks, people were sweating and playing to win anyway. People were just getting better at the game anyway. And I don't think there's necessarily a win streak mentality pandemic happening. I don't feel like since I'm doing a win streak and then fucking Momo's doing a win streak, Angel's doing a win streak, Darva's doing a win streak, it's like, oh, I gotta sweat and ruin games now. It's not like the general player base is even gonna do much with that either, because they're less experienced, and I don't feel like they're gonna be like making quite as many people's days that miserable, or like grinding the game that much, because they don't have quite as much time, and it doesn't feel like they should be investing that much time. It just feels like grossly exaggerated, the effect that win streaks are having on general gameplay. If anything, it would just feel like the game getting bigger and less people respecting the respectfully the old head way of thinking, like, oh, I hate tunneling and camping, and I don't know. That's kind of just how the game goes a lot of the time.
No. You have to follow the Survivor Handbook.
Yeah, there's less and less people respecting the quote-unquote handbook, because there's like a bunch of new people, and they're just like, not everybody understands that it was like a respect thing or whatever. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I feel like it, like, respectfully, people were kind of just like stuck in old ways and like not necessarily embracing it.
I mean,
like being like, well, because like if you don't like DBD as it is, I guess, meant to be played like the most efficiently, maybe you don't like the game. Maybe you're just like the idea of winning because everyone would play fair. I'm not trying to be rude about it per se, but it feels like if you're hopping into a multiplayer PvP game, like, you're gonna have people that are playing to win, you're gonna have people that want to get better, and if you're just stuck in the mentality of like, oh, they're not playing fair, they're a little bitch, it's like, maybe you're the little bitch here. I don't know, like, respectfully, maybe you're kind of just like, maybe you should get over it a little bit.
And that kind
maybe
of
that's
ties...
a horrible response, but
No. It kind of ties into like the Going Next Epidemic thing too, because a lot of the time it's, you know, it'll be like, I know the joke is like, Irie offering life, go down first, DC, you know? And then it's just always like, they always want to stack the deck in their favor, and then they'll bag you at the gate if they get out. But the second something doesn't go right, they give up, you know? And it kind of, it's the same mentality. It's like, well, I don't want them trying hard to win, but I'm going to do everything in my power to win. And
yeah, that double standard has always existed as long as I can remember. It's like, survivors are playing to win. They're not going to get nearly as much shit for it as if a killer tries to do the same thing. Because like, if you're running a whole bunch of strong shit and like doing gens when you're not being chased and like, doing things optimally, it's really not different from a killer playing to win, playing like efficiently. It just only seems different because there's one killer and 4 survivors, I guess.
We're all not so different. Let's all be kinder to one another.
That's what I'm getting at. Even though I just called you a little bitch. But
out of love, I promise.
It's like, I don't know. It's something I see with like Call of Duty as well. Like, I'll see a clip of somebody like having like some goofy ass movement, and it's like, it doesn't really, if you want to play like that, I don't really care. Like, if you're like sweating day one, why should I even care about that? Like, you're just trying to get better at the game, or like trying to do things the most efficiently, and every single reply is calling them a fucking sweaty loser. And it's like, I don't like that people hate
skill expression,
others like getting better at games and like trying their hardest. It's just always rubbed me the wrong way that people just like hate when somebody's like
actively trying to improve.
Because I just want to feel like I'm better than people without trying, and then you get somebody who's trying, it's like, oh, you ruined it. It's like, did I? You just like want to feel like you're better at me than at the game. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because like in the league, or you know, any competitive, I say this air quotes because I don't really think DBD is like a competitive game, but like, you're not going to expect someone to like just let you go because of like their honor or whatever. Like, they're going to kill you, take the advantage, and then move on, you know? Like, it's
almost as if that's the point of the game, is to like win.
Yeah, exactly.
And to have fun. It's like,
I love
fun trying to win.
I love having fun.
It's also weird to me, last thing, I promise.
No, you're fine.
But it's weird that like the people who are like, I play the game for fun and I'm not trying that hard to win, get mad about somebody playing to win. Because like, if you weren't playing to win, why are you getting mad about somebody else playing to win if you're just playing for fun? Am I making any sense here? Like, if you're playing for fun, then that means you shouldn't care about winning. But then when you lose every game because the other person's playing to win, and then you get mad about that, that kind of directly contradicts what you were saying a little bit. Does it not? It just feels like at that point, you kind of just didn't want to try to win, but you still wanted to win half the games. And it's like, you can't really have that cake and eat it too. That's
Exactly. All right. So this next one, you know, a little bit off the win streak thing. If or when, I don't know how much Survivor you play, but when you play Survivor, do you necessarily enjoy playing against Billy, and why or why not?
Yeah, I do. I think, like, this might sound off topic, but I promise it's still on topic.
No, I believe it.
There are certain killers in the game that do not deserve to be S tier. Like, if Clown was an S tier killer, he would be miserable. Like, with his current power, if they somehow buffed it to the point of him being S tier, he would be, like, absolutely abhorrent to play against.
Exposed base.
Same with, like, if Trapper was, like, S tier somehow with, like, his current kit, and they just buffed him to S tier, like, it would be a miserable experience. But, like, you'll have killers like Blight and Billy, which, like, they're strong, and, like, they can be uninteractive sometimes, but it's, like, their power kind of allows for them to be that good, just because it has room for counterplay and stuff. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think even though Billy's as strong as he is, he's a killer that's, like, you can, like, fine-tune him to be very strong and also still be very fun, and I think he is fun to play against, even though he's, like, strong, and I've kind of accepted the fact that, like, you're not going to last forever in chases, but there are things he can do that are, I think, like, fun is subjective, obviously, but I think it's pretty fun, and I think there comes a point where it's not very subjective. Like, if Clown was S tier, like, his battles would hinder you to 1% movement speed, and, like, just keep you stuck in place the whole time. Like, you just couldn't move for, like, 8 seconds, he would just, like, 2-tap you every chase. Like, that would be miserable, but Billy, like, you could buff, I guess, Clown to be good enough to be, like, as good as Billy is, but, like, obviously there's a killer you would rather play against in that scenario, right? Like, I feel like you would much rather versus Billy than an S-tier Clown that's, like, the same strength as Billy, just because that would be so uninteractive.
I get that.
And
yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad I'm making sense.
No,
That's
it makes
always kind
sense,
of an idea I've had. It's like, people are like, buff Trapper, and I'm like, I feel like he should stay right where he's at. I can't lie to you. I feel like killers like Clown and Trapper and, like, Trickster, like, they're good. Keep them right there. I do not want to play against S-tier Clown. That does not sound fun. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we
Billy
need Trickster to be S tier, but a lot of people do say that his, like, rework,
Quality of life stuff.
yeah, like, was just kind of a failure overall and kind of missed the entire point of the character, you know?
Yeah, that you can, like, side grade him to, like, have some quality of life stuff and, like, maybe be a little bit better, and, like, he would be good, I think. It's just, like, certain killers. It's like, I am good with them being D tier. If they were any better, it would be fucking horrible. Keep them right there.
I get that 100% though. And with Trapper specifically, as far as, like, buffs, I don't think he needs buffs, because, like, his playstyle is always going to be the same no matter what you do with it. Like, you're not going to be throwing the bear trap at someone and then they get stuck, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all they really need is to make it feel better to play.
Mm-hmm. Quality of life?
Exactly. Quality of life. All right. So, what are some common misconceptions about Billy? Like, things that people generally don't understand? This can be, like, a common grievance that people have against them, and you're like, well, there's an obvious counterplay, guys. You're just not using it. Like, is there anything like that?
The control key. Like, you do not understand how much, like, infinitely harder it is to hit somebody who's crouching, like, at the right time and in the right way. Like, it is so, like, it is ridiculously hard to hit somebody who's, like, crouching correctly as Billy. And, like, during my win streak, I could, like, it felt like every single game I would get it down, where, like, if somebody just crouched, I wouldn't be getting it. It would take, like, longer for me to down that person, if that makes sense. Like, if you're about to get hit, if there's one thing I can tell you to do if you're versing Billy, it's just, like, always crouch, like, half a second before you think you're gonna get hit by the saw. Like, it will save you at least half of the time. It makes your hitbox so much smaller. Obviously, it's not gonna, like, always work for you, but if you learn from, like, good players, or, like, watch good players play against Billy, like, a lot of the time, they can, like, save their own ass by crouching. Like, you'll spare a lot more time for your teammates. And then, like, also, like, if he's just, like, slugging the whole team, it's also infinitely harder to force slug if you're hopping into lockers, because you have to go through the whole animation of taking them out and then dropping them, and that takes a lot longer than just, like, getting sniped and then I just, like, go away to do something else, you know?
Exactly.
So, control key and go locker, and he will feel at least a tier or two weaker when you're playing against him.
You also feel a tear on his cheek when you counter him.
Yeah, like, Billy is a killer that thrives off of mistakes and like can pop off very quickly. And if you're not giving him any leverage, like he can struggle pretty bad. He's very feast or famine. Third time I've said that, to be fair, but like
Third time's the
I
charm.
think you get it by now.
Okay, so if you had to give a general bit of advice to people learning the hillbilly, what would you say?
I think the same kind of advice I give to everyone about any killer really is focus on being accurate with your inputs before you focus on being fast with them, just to like get them down, and then you'll just eventually get faster at them. Also, like recording your own games and watching them back either by yourself or with somebody who can like tell you what you could have done better if you don't like recognize what you could have done better.
Do you offer that as a service on your stream?
I do not, but I could honestly make like a VOD review redemption.
Could be cool.
Or like, yeah, I should probably do that.
Keep an eye out for hit Twitch streamer Numinous and that redemption. He'll watch your VOD, maybe.
Maybe it might be like quite a few channel points because like I don't want to be there
All day,
watching
absolutely.
VODs all day. But I would like to help. If somebody be watching me that much, maybe I'll be like, you know what? You've been sticking around and I'm gonna help out.
Learn your inputs well, and you'll get faster at them over time, basically.
Yeah, and then just watch your own game. Yeah.
Okay. If you could change something about the killer itself, what would it be? Anything? Accessibility, kit, balance, vibe, anything? And, like, is there anything inherently problematic about Billy at all?
I don't think there's really anything inherently problematic. Well, the main thing I'm thinking of is like crouch tech. I don't know if I would keep it the way it is. It obviously adds good counterplay. I feel like I would probably just keep it, but I think the main thing I would change would actually be better feedback on the survivor side about when overdrive is about to finish accumulating. I think that's the main thing. It would be an accessibility change because like visual feedback or audio feedback that his chainsaw is getting closer to overdrive would be nice because like getting overdrive the last second when they don't expect you to can be kind of annoying. So I think like adding, like making the chainsaw get more blue or like start smoking or whatever would be nice. I feel like that's the main thing. It would just be like accessibility, quality of life stuff. It'd be like small tweaks.
Or, like, visual counterplay type thing.
Because there is a lot of stuff in DBD that's like only audio you can go off of, and I'm glad they added stuff like visual terror radius because that's super helpful.
Yeah, I've been hoping for like the like the Fortnite visual audio sounds for like where the gunfire is coming from. Like mobile has something like that, and I'm hoping and praying for that because I can't hear super well. So every time I see a spirit, I'm like, well, I guess I'll die. That's great.
If it's any consolation, you kind of just die anyway, even if you have both your ears working. So just kind of just
Great.
obviously you can. There's a lot of things in DBD like that are just like only audio cues. Like I guess Oni getting his power or like
I think that should at least be
You
an
mentioned spirit.
option to have a subtitle for that type of thing, or like
Yeah.
plague. Because like if you have a
Oh, yeah,
plague
plague's
getting
power.
their power or an Oni getting their power and you didn't hear it, that's very obviously going to be like a bad thing for you.
I don't know if this like sounds strange, but like a lot of the time I just like think, would this be like enjoyable at all for a person who is deaf and cannot hear? Like a lot of the time I'm just like, what if you were deaf? Like what do you do? I don't know. Like obviously if you're blind you can't fucking play video games, but deaf people play video games, and I'm just like, if you were deaf, can you realistically do about that? And it's like there's so much stuff that's only audio. If you're deaf, you're just kind of cooked, and I like accessibility options.
A little off
Same
topic, but as far like I know Dead by Daylight definitely not, but like there was this video I saw a while back. I got out a guy who was completely blind and he finished Ocarina of Time like from start to finish just because of how good the audio design was.
Like that's gold.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's so real. I can't imagine being audio so good on
Yeah, I could
DVD
play-
that you can play it blind.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Imagine just being that good at spirit, like without being able to see. It's just like you can hear the objects next to you just using fucking echolocation and shit.
You're literally Kenshi, absolutely.
You're literally like Daredevil. That'd
That's-
be crazy.
That's a better one. I love Daredevil. All right, so next up, how have updates treated your killer? Would you say that these were fair buffs or nerfs?
Not all of them, obviously. He was, when they give him overheat for, 3 years, 4 years, that was kind of ass. That kind of sucked a lot.
Wasn't
But then
that
they're
in
like, you know what?
response to like Instasaw Billy? But then they just
Yeah, they
didn't.
could have just like changed his add-ons, and then they're like, you know what? We're going a step further. We're making no one ever want to play him ever again. And then I eventually just like couldn't tolerate it anymore. I'm like, yeah, no. I just kind of give up on Billy, and then they buffed him, and they're like, all right,
Our bad gang.
smoke up, Johnny. Just went from mid C to damn near best killer in the game. Like, okay, that's awesome. I think most of it was fair, but obviously it was just number tweaks problems. A lot
Overheat
of it.
bad, overcharge good.
I think he's in a very good spot now, though.
Nice. And I was also going to ask how his like the game changing and the meta treated you as far as like perks, maps, full rework, sheer killer's power, etc. Like you said, overheat not great, overcharge pretty good, but like how has the
Overdrive.
rest of the meta helped or hindered you?
Honestly, Billy's honestly like pretty decent at like avoiding some meta perks like all the anti-tunnel stuff because he can slog pretty well. Like he can kind of just like eat through one person's anti-tunnel and then slog the rest of the team, right?
Right.
So he kind of plays around meta pretty well. There's just one perk in particular annoys the hell out of me, which is off the record. That like I don't know why that's still in the game the way it is. Yeah, that perk is just kind of miserable for everyone.
What do you
It's just
dislike
terrible
about
and I
it?
hate it. Typically the response I met with is just don't tunnel, but you can also just like you can use it very aggressively and just like eat protection hits for people and force yourself to be tunneled and then DS them and then DH and then like you can just take the hit, but they can also force you to down them as well. Just be very aggressive. I don't like it at all. I think it's just bad perk design. It being 80 seconds is just like ridiculous also.
In theory, I see what they were going for with it, but yeah, I see the viewpoint of it. So our very, very last question. I have kind of an idea for what you're going to say for it because you did bring it up briefly. But what would be like the final straw that breaks the camel's back? What would make you quit Billy forever?
I end up quitting, it'll probably be because like I'll basically stop playing them altogether, probably because like maybe more fun killers come out, or I find other killers more fun, or they kind of just like make tweaks to them that are like make them feel less fun to play, or like maybe I'll end up like quitting the game altogether at some point. I don't see that happening really, but most likely in reality there would not be an event that could happen like realistically.
What if they
That would
brought
make me quit
Overheat
him.
back?
But yeah, if they brought Overheat back, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. Like they could do a lot to him. I would probably still play him from time to time, just as long as they don't bring back Overheat. Like he would probably be fine, unless they just like completely made him feel like ungodly terrible to play. Like there wouldn't be a lot that could keep me from playing him because just fundamentally, I think he's pretty fun.
Well, that's kind of all I've got as far as questions go. I want to, thank you for coming on, being part of this series. Is there anything that you're working on or that you want to share with the rest of the class right now? If you want to plug your links, this would be the spot to do it. So,
Well, I'm just doing a white win streak right now. It's a 175 at the time of this interview, but I plan to try to get that to 1,000 as well, so maybe I can be the first person to get 2 1,000 win streaks. The Billy one, if anyone listening is not familiar, that one got to 1317. 1,317. Kind of stupid, but yeah, it would be cool if I got Blight to 1,000. My goal right now is just like 500 because my old Blight streak got to like 330 something, somewhere around there. It was a long time ago I did that one, but yeah, it would be cool to do that. You can find me on YouTube. My name on YouTube is just Numi, but the @ on YouTube is NVMINOUS. On Twitter, it's NVMIN0US. And on Twitch, it's just NUMIONOUS, like Numinous. It's spelled normally. I got a partner, so I could just make my name the word itself if you want to check any of that out. I've been making a lot of like Winstreak and comp content lately, but I want to bring back the montage just because I like video editing. So if you like Winstreak content, comp content, or fucking Wesker montages, I don't know, anything. I just be making what I like making, and I do my own thing. If you freak with that, then also
All right.
my profile picture is a cat everywhere. It's my cat. So if
Tell
you're
us
having
more
any
about your
trouble,
cat while
click on
we're
the
here
cat
in the
one.
outro.
True. Her name is Callie. She's a tuxedo and she has dick and balls face syndrome. She's very adorable. She's very cute. I love her dearly. She's about 1.5 years old at this point. Probably a little more than that.
It's a
She's
long
very
time
sweet.
to have dick and balls face syndrome.
She's very silly. Have you ever seen that one picture? It's like, he's mad I called him dickhead. It's just the cat with the dick face.
But again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. And thank you, everyone out there, for watching and listening. I hope you have a lovely rest of your afternoon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.